What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we are back with the top 4 of the Denver Vault Tour. Shout out to Cascade Games for providing the footage, they are lovely people. On the left, we've got Daniel playing Wildly Rapid Swish, Sanctum Shadows Untamed. On the right, we've got Brooks playing Bombfoot, the Aeronaut of the Pike. Disc Shadows Untamed. Brooks starts off with a Succubus straight away, but it just does not stay on the field for more than a second. Succubus means your opponent draws one fewer card at the end of their turn, so it's actually really nice and disruptive, but Daniel was like, no, I'm not letting that stay on the field. I don't blame him. Now, it looks like we've got Dis here, and we've got a Life Word down and a Dust Imp. Oh, but we've got a nice Untamed thing here. We got Witch of the Eye coming down. Flaxia gets you 2 amber if you control more creatures than your opponent, which Daniel then does. And then Murmoot comes down to increase the cost of forging keys by 1. As a matter of sequencing, I always like putting Flaxia down last. But, of course, he doesn't want Flaxia on the flank. He wants Murmoot on the flank, which is why he was very careful to put Flaxia down second, so he's still got more... He's still now got more creatures, so he gets the bonus, but Murmoot ends up on the flank. So we do see a Relentless Whispers coming down. A Restless Whispers. Or did he actually use that? Doesn't look like he actually used it. Deal 2 damage to a creature. If it's destroyed, you steal 1. Doesn't look like he actually used it. I'm not seeing any damage down. He's then got a bunch of creatures down there. He's got Nexus. He's got Shadow Self. So he's doing all right, ladies and gentlemen. He's got some stuff down. And, of course, the Dust Imp from the previous turn. Now, he has got himself a couple of amber. But it looks like Daniel's just got it going on here. He's got a much better... Well, he's just got more amber down. They've both got 3 creatures each, but Daniel's got the amber going on. He, of course, he got the 2 for Flaxia. That really helped. But now he's got 3 untamed creatures. He can just reap for 3 amber if he so wants. Depends what he's got in his hand, really, as to what he's going to choose. But if he were to go untamed, one of the options he would have is just reap. Remember that Witch of the Eye, when you reap, you return a card from your discard pile to your hand. That's incredibly powerful. Now, I think we are still on Brooks's turn, mind you. So it looks like he's reaping with Dust Imp. So it looks like Daniel actually, he might have just had a very quick turn where he literally just reaped with his 3 untamed creatures, and that was it. It was very, very fast, because Brooks is now back onto a Dis turn. Gets a couple more creatures down. That's going to help him very much indeed. He can have a nice reaping turn next turn if he so wants to. He's got a Stealer of Souls down there. When you destroy a creature fighting it, you purge them and gain an amber. So down comes a Carlo Phantom. In fact, that looks like a pair of Carlo Phantom coming down. That's going to help him out a little bit. Carlo Phantom, every time you play an artifact, you steal an amber. Oh! So getting 2 of them down, then playing a Seeker Needle means that you actually steal 2. It is a permanent skill, so you don't have to wait to use it. So playing a pair of Carlo Phantom, then a Seeker Needle, that's huge, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, it looks like we do have a key. Has Daniel forged there? Oh, no, he's not forged. Brooks drops Bait and Switch. Remember that Denver was before the Bait and Switch errata. So, yeah, now they're on 4 amber each. You can see why Bait and Switch did get errata. That's a big swing in the game. So that was big from Brooks there. Now, he does play a Ghostly Hand, gets himself a couple of amber. If his opponent only had 1, he'd be able to steal it. That is not the case here. But in 2 turns, literally 2 cards, sorry, not 2 turns, 2 cards, he's gone from 8-0 on his opponent's side to 7-4 on his side. And now we are rocking. He's playing Booby Trap, deal 4 damage to a creature that is not on a flank with 2 splash. Now he's just, I mean, this is a phenomenal turn, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a great, great turn. He's just sitting there, and I believe he actually used Nexus there to copy, I think he used Nexus to go and copy a, an artifact there. So he really is just... I mean, look at that, right? When the turn started, Daniel had 8 amber and Brooks had 0. When the turn ends, Brooks has 9 and Daniel has 3. It's one of the reasons Bait and Switch got errated. But remember, Bait and Switch only put them at 4-4. Okay, now we do see Raiding Knight coming in to capture an amber. That's going to help Daniel out very nicely here. Capturing amber is always a good thing. Now, we do see is that take hostages coming down? No. I'm lying to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Terms of Redress. Choose a friendly creature to capture 2 amber. He goes for his dodger there. Now, one of the things that Sanctum does, of course, is Sanctum do capturing. Now, there's an inspiration. Ready and use a friendly creature. So, he's able to use that. Get a bit of his amber. He's doing all right. He's doing all right here. He's got himself back onto check, and he's got Brooks off of check. And that's the goal. I mean, Keyforge really is about forging keys and stopping your opponent, and he's put himself in a good position for either during the previous turn. Wasn't a perfect turn, but it did what he needed to for the time being. Now, he does drop a Control the Weak to put himself back onto check here, which is very, very nice. And it looks like he's able to steal some amber here as well. Getting his disc creatures going on. Pit Demon has, of course, got an action that steals an amber. Stealer of Souls, when you destroy a creature, you purge it and gain an amber, so that's quite nice. He's also got a Shaffles there. At the end of your turn, your opponent loses an amber. So, between the Shaffles making his opponent lose an amber and his, oh, who was it? It was his Pit Demon stealing an amber. He has taken Daniel off of check. So a very back and forth thing going on here. We're seeing a lot of I can forge, no you can't, but I can, no you can't. So once again, Brooks took Daniel off of check and put himself onto check. But Daniel now has put himself back onto check. Of course, Brooks did end the turn with 10 amber. This is a tall order. Now, Daniel did use a Nature's Call there just to get rid of some of the creatures from Brooks' side of the field while getting himself an amber bonus. And he got a Snufflegator down and a Dust Pixie. Dust Pixie gets a couple amber. So, stop me if you've heard this one before. Daniel is now on check. I know. Who'd have thunk it? What can Brooks do? Now, he's only got 7 amber. Brooks only needs to get 2. Oh, but he plays a Hunting Witch. That's very nice. Then drops a Taliga, which, of course, will get him an amber, because Hunting Witch gets you an amber every time you play one. Drops a Big Twig, which gets him an amber, because Hunting Witch gives you an amber every time you play a creature. Drops a Mamook, which gets him another amber and increases the cost of forging a key. Drops a Snufflegator down. Plays a Regrowth, which gets him an amber bonus. Now, does he have an untamed creature in his discard pile to grab back? He doesn't. He's got Succubus, so we can't play that now. He's on an untamed turn, but it's sitting there ready for next turn. So playing a Hunting Witch and then playing 4 extra creatures got him 4 amber. Now Brooks has forged his first key, and he's sitting there on 9 amber. And honestly, he's at that stage in the game, unless Daniel's got some way to start clearing the board, Brooks is going to just be able to reap with his untamed creatures. He's got 5 untamed creatures on the board. He can reap for 5 amber a turn, even with nothing else. And while we're here, let's remember that Taliga, on the bottom of Brooks's battle line as you're looking at it, each time your opponent plays a creature, gain an amber. In top 8, we saw Untamed go nuts. Spoiler alert, there's a link to that in the description. But in top 8, we saw Untamed go nuts and just gain a huge amount of amber really quickly in a game that lasted a solid 10 minutes. It looks like Untamed is doing it again. Don't be sleeping on how gosh darned good it is just having Untamed and being able to grab all of this amber. I mean, he forged a key and he's left himself on 9 to end his turn with a real good battle line looking there. His Untamed looks fine, and remember, he's still got Shaffles on the field. So at the end of your turn, your opponent loses an amber. Now, did Daniel lose the amber there? Yeah, yes, he did. So Oubliette comes down. Oh, that's a good card. Oubliette allows you to purge a creature of 3 power or lower. Clearly going to purge Saliga there. That was definitely the right choice. And he gets himself a Dusk Runner onto his Raiding Knight. He's able to take out Hunting Witch. I mean, you've got to take out the Hunting Witch. Remember, Shadow South does the protection, so it takes the damage for it. So, essentially, Dodger took out Hunting Witch, but Shadow South took the damage on his behalf. Damage dealt to non-Spectre neighbours is dealt to Shadow Self instead. But it didn't stop Brooks forging a key. Brooks goes down there, gets his second key forged. Now, he has lost 2 of his untamed creatures, so he's not able to just have the nuts untamed turn there. So he's going control the weak. Unfortunately, we have no way of knowing what house he's forcing Daniel into. Control the weak basically lets you decide what house your opponent has to choose next turn. We'll have to wait and see what Brooks goes for. Now, looks like we got a Dust Imp there. And okay, the Shadow South's gone down. Now it looks like we're reaping with Stealer of Souls. No, we're not. We're attacking with Stealer of Souls. Every time a creature is destroyed, you purge it and gain an amber. And it looks like Shaffles is just reaping there. So I think there's a little bit of conversation here as to whether Stealer of Souls should have been destroyed because of the... Oh, and then we just got a flurry of disc creatures coming down, including Succubus. Because Shadow South... Now, Shadow South is important. Shadow South reads damage dealt to non-Spectre neighbours is dealt to Shadow South instead. So Dodger would... Anything fighting against Shadow South... Okay, let me get this straight. If you're next to Shadow South and you fight, you still do damage, but any damage your opponent does goes to Shadow Self instead. Oh, it took me a bit longer to say that than I meant to. The damage is still done both sides. The difference is damage going to the Shadow South side goes to Shadow South. You still take the damage as normal. Shadow South deals no damage when fighting, but if you're fighting Shadow South's neighbour, then the neighbour will do damage there. Shadow South's a very nice card. It's also one of the very few cards in Call of the Archons that makes us look at traits. So, it's a Spectre. So Snufflegator comes down, it is attacking and taking out a creature. I want to say that's Snudge. Yeah. Remember, Snufflegator has got, what's it called? Skirmish. So it doesn't take any damage in return when it starts. Regrove comes down. You got to think it's probably going to be for a Dust Pixie. Oh, no. Witch of the Eye. Yeah. And then... Oh, we got Nature's Call here as well. Now, if you want to rush for Amber, and I don't think Daniel's in a place where he wants to rush for Amber now, he's behind in the game, but getting Dust Pixie back with Regrowth, playing it down for 2 Amber, then playing Nature's Call to pick it up and play it back down again, that sequence would have gained Daniel 5 Amber, but that really is more of an I'm ahead in the game and rushing to victory play, rather than I'm behind by a key kind of play. Instead, he just makes his opponent pick up a bunch of creatures, and I get that. Takes the creatures off the board, and just stops them being able to do their thing, to be honest with you. Just stops them being able to do very much. At least with the creatures he took off the board. Oh, now we see Brooks has got a Murmook on the field. He's actually got a second Murmook in hand as well. That will increase the cost of Daniel forging by 2. That's something to keep an eye on. I wonder if what the most Murmook in a deck is. You've got to think someone out there's got 4 or 5. Okay, Shadow South finally goes down. Snufflegator using it to go there. So that's quite nice. Took a little while. Big Twig comes back down. Murmook comes back down. So once again, we end the turn for Brooks. Now he is on check. He's got 6 Amber. I don't believe there's anything on Daniel's side of the board increasing the cost of forging. So as it stands at the moment, Brooks will be winning the game as he goes into his next turn. You got to think Daniel's probably got a way around it at this point. You probably think he's got some kind of backup plan. He's not just going to let Brooks forge his last key and win, you would imagine. So Raiding Knight then, I remember Raiding Knight does have a Dusk Runner on, so when you reap you steal an amber as well as gaining the one you usually would get. He plays down a Sequus there, captures an amber when you reap. So Dusk Runner alone took Brooks off of check, and it looks like that's all Daniel was able to do. It looks like Daniel was able to stop Brooks forging a key, but Brooks is already back on check here. Didn't take him very long at all. Now, he's got the Mind Barb, which is quite nice. Your opponent discards a random card from their hand. And it looks like he's reaping. Now, I've said this many times before. And remember, Stealer of Souls is quite good for fighting. But if you're ahead in the game, if you've forged a key and your opponent hasn't, or you've forged two and they've only forged one of the things you can do here, one of the luxuries you have, is just rushing for amber. Force your opponent to play defense and offense at the same time, while you just rush for amber. When you're tied, you've got to play keep away for your opponent while trying to forge yourself. It's not so when you're ahead. So Succubus does go down there. Remember, that's stopping Daniel for, drawing an extra card at the end of his turn. It's like being chained. So, yeah, it's one of the ones, as Alex was saying on the live stream in Birmingham, Burn the Witch. One of those creatures that's so good it has to be targeted pretty much as soon as it hits the field. Now, Raiding Knight there, Sequus will capture an amber when it reaps. Raiding Knight captures one when it comes into play. And you can see there's actually 1-2 to the left on the battle line. So Daniel has gotten Brooks off of check successfully, capturing a bunch of amber. And one of the downsides, and take out that Snufflegator, one of the downsides of capturing is that if your opponent's got a board wipe, your opponent can essentially wipe all your creatures away, get all their amber back, and then, I mean, that would get him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 amber back at once, enough to forge a key. Might not be possible. Now we see another Nerve Blast coming down here. So Brooks is... Booby Trap. Another Booby Trap coming down. Brooks is trying to get a lot of his amber back here. And he ends on check, but again, still only 6 amber. You got to think he's building up to one of those turns where he just reaps many, many times. He's got... It looks like 3 untamed creatures, 3 disc creatures, 2 shadow creatures on the board there. So if he does want to go reaping, he's got some options. And Big Twig's a nice one to reap with. When you reap, you stun and exhaust a creature, so they can't even get out of stun the next turn. They've got to wait a turn to be unexhausted, and then they can use it to get out of stun. So that's pretty good. I mean, Brooks is still very much in the driver's seat here. The game's slowed down a bit. There's been a few turns in a row where he's not been able to do a huge amount. Keeps just getting onto check and being taken off. But Daniel's not forged his second key. Brooks has, and he's on check. So yeah, sure, the game has slowed down a little bit, but it's not like Brooks is in a huge amount of trouble. Now, it looks like Mac the Knife is being taken off of Brooks' side of the board. And there's a whole bunch of capturing going on here, which is quite nice. That's gonna help. Gonna get him somewhere. Oh, now chooses to discard Speed Sigil. Remember, Speed Sigil says the first creature played each turn comes inactive, but it's the first creature regardless of who is playing the creature. That's important to note. Now, we do see Seeker Needle just doing 1 damage to Shaffles there, because remember, as much as Daniel's been able to get a lot of creatures off the board, he's not been able to get rid of Shaffles yet. And at the end of your turn, your opponent loses an amber. So every time Brooks ends his turn, Daniel loses an amber. And sure, once again, Daniel took Brooks off of check. But Brooks needs 1 amber to get himself on check. No matter which house he chooses, he can just reap for that. And Daniel is still not even... He's not going to forge his second key next turn. That's potentially worrying. A lot of love for Untamed going on in this game. Right, so what's Brooks thinking here? What's Brooks thinking? Looks like Now, there's a special delivery. Has he just played that down? Has he gone Shadows? No, that must have been played previously. So he is going Untamed, it looks like. Yes, okay. So he's going Untamed there. Choosing to play Lost to the Woods. 2 friendly creatures, 2 enemy creatures. Shuffle them back into their owner's deck. And of course, what he can do here is just get rid of a couple of his opponent's creatures to get some of his amber back. I believe that's Lost in the Woods. Yeah, and that's exactly what he's doing. So he takes out Dodger, gets a couple of his amber back. And he takes out Raiding Knight to get another couple of amber back. Incidentally, these tokens, they're the acrylic ones you get from the Vault Tour. They are great for streaming. I adore those amber tokens for streaming. It's wonderful. So Brooks now, he's really working on the victory at this stage. He's sitting there with 9 amber, although he's had a slow couple of turns getting on and off check. Oh, plays Grasping Vines to get rid of a couple of artifacts from Daniel's side of the board. Oh, he's played a Full Moon. Does he have any creatures he can play? He's reaping with Big Twig to get himself an amber. And he's reaping with both his Murmook to get himself another 2 amber. And he's reaping with Mac the Knife. Now remember, Mac the Knife is always considered of the active house, or to be more precise, can always be used as if it is. And Brooks is passing with a lot of amber. Daniel's got too much to protect, but he doesn't have another way to steal an amber. He can steal all but 6, but he cannot steal the 7th. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the game. Congratulations to Brooks, showing us again that Untamed can go nuts with amber. A longer game, a back and forth game, lots of all check, not quite, mate. A lot of creature removal, a really well-played tactical game from a couple of really good players. What you would expect, frankly, in top 4 of a large tournament, in a Vault Tour. But in the end, Brooks is Untamed, and he had other things, he did other stuff. But I feel like for the second game in a row here, we've just seen Untamed go a little bit nuts with amber, and that's really been the difference in the game. So I enjoyed watching that, but and huge shout out to Cascade Games for letting me use the footage. Those guys are awesome. So I enjoyed this game, but I would like to know how you feel about it. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter @TheWossy, where we talk about Keyforge and a whole bunch of other games. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.